서로 다른 인종, 서로 다른 문화, 서로 다른 생각. 하지만 79억 인류 모두가 바라는 하나, 평화입니다.
안녕하세요. 제 이름은 원재희, 한국어로 근데 미국에서는 원주리라고 불러요. 시의원이고 그리고 뉴욕시티 District 26 지역을 맡고 있습니다. 하루는 버스 스탑에 앉아있는 조그만 여자애를 봤어요. 흑인 여자애. 한 8살 된 것 같은데 계속 6시간 동안 앉아있더라고요. 움직이질 않고 밥도 안 먹고. 그래서 내가 가서 물어봤어요. 엄청 많이 지나갔는데 버스 안 타? 그랬더니 나보고 조용하라고. 나는 지금 공부하고 있다고. 왜냐면 그때는 학교들이 다 문 닫고 인터넷으로 공부하는 거였어요. 그 사람들이 돈이 없어서 밖에 나가면 버스 정류장에 가면은 인터넷을 공짜로 쓸 수 있는 데가 있어서 거기 앉아서 그렇게 해서 공부한 거예요. 그거 보고서는 이건 진짜 아니다. 내가 지금 테크놀로지에서 일하면서 미국 돈으로 20불로 주면은 핫스팟을 받아서 16개를 커넥트할 수 있는데 지금 왜 정부가 학교도 인터넷으로 다녀라, 코비드 백신 맞으려면 인터넷으로 예약해라, 거버먼트 서비스 받으려면 다 인터넷으로 해야 되는데 왜 제일 가난하고 제일 힘든 사람들한테 인터넷을 안 주고 이렇게 놔두냐고. 열받더라고요. 이렇게 가난한 애들이 학교를 못 가게 돼 있는데 어떻게 안 도와주냐고. 그랬더니 나보고 너가 나가서 하지 왜 안 하냐고. 이기려고 나간 게 아니라 지금 뛰는 사람들, 캠페인하고 있는 사람들한테 인터넷에 대해서 말을 안 하니까 만약 가난하면은 인터넷을 정부가 무료로 해주는 걸로 하라, 그 말을 하려고 저도 같이 뛰었어요. 처음에 했을 때는 20명이었어요. 캠페인을 시작하는데. 근데 끝날 때는 250명이 넘었어요. 그냥 volunteer 해서 저를 도와준 사람들이. 그랬더니 이겼어요. 19명이 나갔는데 19명 중에서 저를 뽑은 거예요. 여기 온 참석한 사람들도 거의 다 미국이랑 캐나다에서 왔잖아요. 그럼 똑같은 땅에서 일하는데 몰랐어요. 저는 미국이랑 한국이랑 둘 다 생각해서 우리들이 정치인끼리 미국에서 일하는 정치인들이 모여가지고 뭘 더 할 수 있나, 우리나라를 위해서. 우리가 한인들을 위해서, 동포들을 위해서 뭘 더 할 수 있나, 그런 거를 할 수 같이 있는 게 힘이 더 세지니까 더 고맙게 생각하고 만남이 짧지만 다음에 와가지고 더 깊게 말할 수 있게, 그리고 도움이 될 수 있게. 우리 미국에서는 이런 일이 있으면은 이렇게 하는데 한국은 이런 일이 있으면 어떻게 하세요? 여쭤보고 배울 수 있는 점들 많을 것 같아요. 사람을 도와주고 싶다는 마음이 있고, 그리고 어떤 professional skill, 무엇인지, technology, finance, accounting, marketing, 뭘 했던, 정치를 했건, 뭘 했던 게 중요한 게 아니라 무엇을 뛰어나게 딴 사람들보다 더 잘해서 그 가지고 있는 스킬을 정치로 쓸 수 있다는 거를 느꼈으면 좋겠어요. 기억하면 좋겠어요. 정치는 느끼는 게, 제일 많이 느끼는 게 public service is sacrifice. 정치인을 하는 거는 정부에서 일하는 사람들은 다 희생하는 거예요. 나를 먼저 하지 않고 내 가족을 먼저 하는 게 아니라 막 떼돈 벌려고 열심히 하는 게 아니라 돈은 그냥 살 만큼 벌고, 그리고 시간을 7일 동안 일하면서 가정을 희생하고 다른 사람 가정들과 다른 사람 삶을 더 좋게 만들려고 하는 거예요. Hi everybody, thank you so much for listening. My name is Julie Won. I am a council member from New York City, representing Long Island City, Sunnyside, Woodside, and Astoria. If you remember one thing that I shared in this long interview is that I hope that you remember that what I see most in my short time in public service is that first and foremost, it is exactly that. We are public servants And it is a life of sacrifice, but at the end, when we are focused, when we are determined, when we are organized with everybody else, then it is all worth it. And since the beginning of my tenure, or since the beginning of when I ran for office, my litmus test has always been to make sure that any policy, any regulation, any sort of public benefit program that may go live, if it does not protect a Black trans woman, then it is not safe enough and it is not good enough. So we will continue to fight for the most marginalized, and we will continue to protect the most vulnerable in our community. Thank you.
My name is Nicolás Kjolbjörn. I'm from Argentina, Buenos Aires, and today I'm working as a senior advisor to the Chief of Staff of Buenos Aires. Before, in the past, I've been working as a speechwriter and a social media advisor to the President of Argentina. I was participating in the re-election campaign of the President, visiting 3 or 4 cities at the same time, like the same day. It is very tough physically, but the thing is that I was also studying at law school, so I had to study at the airport. Funny thing about this is that when I was doing this, it was an election between Mauricio Macri, the president, and Alberto Fernandez, who was the candidate from the opposition. And Alberto Fernandez's campaign was at the University of Buenos Aires because he was a professor of law. And he was my professor. So I had to see both candidates at the same time because one of them was my boss and the other one was my professor. And they didn't know about it. From my home to the university, have classes with Alberto Fernandez, and from there I would take the bus to the president's office, and then from there do campaign and go to 3 or 4 different cities. So I would start like at 4 a.m. and finish at 2 a.m. That is one of the toughest challenges of my career. 대통령 일을 하다 보니까 인생의 계획 같은 거를 다 제 손을 이길 거라고 생각하면서 계획을 다 짜놔서 졌을 때 아주 큰 실망이었어요. And in my case, I was just a 23-year-old boy, and I had devoted all my life to the public sector and politics of the country. So I had no plan B. And I think that politics is a little bit about having different plans, right? Because I was too expectant of the fact that we were going to win. And once we lost, people would stop calling me, right? Because all the hype was gone. I think this experience was very important for me, emotionally speaking, to understand who I am and how to elaborate plans or 계획들 for the future. One of the things that I learned about myself is that I'm a very, very good number 2, but I'm not a really good number 1. So maybe I would like to support people who want to lead a movement or candidate maybe. But in my older stages of life, I would like to work as an advisor and try to give my advice to some other person who's leading and making the decisions. I'm very comfortable in that position, I guess. So from my perspective, I think that my mission maybe in the Korean community of Argentina would be to try and get more and more Koreans to join politics rather than me being me, you know. You can see that every year the forum is increasing in participants. So even though you would think that, okay, is this useful or not? We can see that there is a clear impact in the number of participants that every year come to this forum, and you can see that, for instance, I don't know, Cheryl, there's a woman called Cheryl and Mark Chang, and they know each other from 20 years before, and that's a lot because that helps create networks, and I think it is very useful, very useful. I would say understanding yourself to help others. People normally think about politics as doing things for others, but I believe that the political process makes you understand yourself better than anything else. And I think that politics is that to me. if you don't understand yourself first, then you're not gonna be able to help others. So yeah, I guess it's understanding yourself. But I'm very grateful for everything to the Korean people here and to the Korean people in Argentina, because even though my day-to-day today is more related to Argentine issues and with Argentine people, and at work I don't have Korean colleagues, I would still say that the Korean community has always been very nice to me, and there is a very strong sense of commitment. And to give an example, I came to this forum and suddenly everybody's so friendly and everybody's willing to help you out just because you're Korean. So I think that that kind of identity is something that I would be very grateful for.